All right, here we go. We are back to marching our way through the Starflight species or creatures or alien races you would encounter while playing the Starflight game. Both 1 and 2. I put the pictures for reference of 1 and 2 in the upper left-hand corner there, along with their ships, their craft that they had. They had the warship transport and scout that you would encounter regularly, and their personality was kind of like upfront, aggressive. They would try to harass you into submission, but their ships were essentially just garbage or very weak. They didn't have a lot to back up their bluster, so you could put them in their place pretty easy by being a little bit stronger. You didn't have to even have a very powerful crew or vessel, and you could take a couple of these guys out and they would cower. They would present themselves as obsequious after they lost a couple of their number, but they would come at you with several ships at a time. I remember in the game going to their planet and trying to orbit it, and the game didn't let you orbit or enter orbit on some of these species' world, and this definitely was one of them. So you could just nuke a million of their ships and then fly away like it was nothing once you got strong enough or powerful enough within the game. But they served almost as I guess, a comic relief to some extent in the first game, and in the second game they were a little more powerful. It was like these dummy, kooky guys found super weapons and were wielding them in a most amoral way, I guess. They were threatening everybody and harassing everybody and trying to enslave the known galaxy. So, of course, in that number two, you had to put them in their place, or at least find the secret to their technology. I'm kind of just all piecing this together off of memory. It's been a while since I played number two, even longer than the last time I played number one. And you have to find, I think you have to find the technology that they had uncovered in this new sector and put them back in their place. And anyway, I wasn't sure how the look of those things was really going to come off when I started this. I was thinking that they just look like, in those pictures, almost like blue lumps of Play-Doh. I know the top one, they got their mucus. They're kind of talking about their mucus a lot, so they would apparently splooge it out wherever they were. I don't know. Or they're just like snails and just squirt it out to slide around on. Yeah. But I'll add some gooey slime and then hit those ships. The ships kind of were this haphazard series of spheres and connecting tubes, I would guess, not really knowing what I was looking at those black silhouettes. So I'm just making it up as I go along for the most part here. But you kind of got the impression that they were a conglomeration of junk that they kind of glued together and figured out how to fly around in space with. But I do believe they said in the game that the race that they were, the Spearmen, were uplifted by the Empire. They did not have spacefaring technology previous to the encounter of the collective Empire, which was a couple of the races and the humans, I guess. All right, so I'm not going to really struggle with the line work here or try to come up with some light and darks. So maybe I should have. I'm just going to go straight to the color and hope for the best. I did have a little bit of fun doing this one. I just like the color schemes. And just giving that potato, that blue potato shape, some form with some darkness and light in the lumps. They have these discs. I don't know what the pictures, what they're what kind of organ they would be, unless they're just TV antennas or quills with discs on them. I don't know. I have no idea. And the bottom one, it just doesn't look like they have eyes. The top one, they definitely made the leap and gave them eyes. And number two, the top one is the second Starflight graphic, Starflight 2, Trade Routes of the Cloud Nebula. And the bottom one is, of course, the first Starflight. So they really illustrated the slime on the second one, or the mucus, I guess. So let's give it some mucus. And I'm trying to make the inside of that ship sort of represent the outside, or I'm trying to imagine how that junk pile might look like from the inside. And I just kind of came up with a series of plates, like boiler plates, somehow mashed together in this plumbing system, or maybe it looks like an empty sewage system. With this very organic appearance. But I'm trying to think what purpose they really had in the first game is they didn't have. Well, yeah, they did. The thing they told you about was one of the points of interest in the game. It was, I think it was the City of the Ancients, and that had an artifact and a ruin in there, and only these guys could tell you where they were, or where that city was, that City of the Ancients. I remember the map, the star map had. It was like a functioning map that represented the location of all the stars in the galaxy, or your little part of the galaxy, and on the edges of the map were points of interest that you had no idea about when you started the game. You just saw, oh, it's a City of the Ancients. What is that? Well, these guys knew about it. And after starving, like, in the game forever for any kind of action or to open up any kind of the puzzles or crack them, you finally found that city or that one of those special locations, and it was amazing. I played it forever before I really got anywhere and started to understand what was going on. But that was the interesting thing about that game is even though I had no idea what I was doing for a good majority of it, it was compelling enough to keep playing, and I think it was that reward you got from bettering your crew and your ship and grinding, I guess you would call it. There was a addicting aspect to it. And then the story would start to unfold, and that was just the bonus on top of the addictive grinding, I guess. I was thinking maybe they would just be like a gray, like a lead color, but that was going to get pretty boring, and probably wouldn't have a lot of contrast to give you any kind of hint of the shape or the design. So maybe if I gave this a shot in 3D, I would go with a gray, like a pewter gray, and you could probably pull it off a little easier with some realistic lighting. But here I am going with all kinds of colors. I was trying to add. I'm just trying to add some dark around those spheres to give the hint of some kind of shape, but I was having a hard time with that. All right, here we go. Now I spent way too much time on this, so I doubled the speed. Oh my god, I was coloring in black space forever. But the what I was trying to avoid was that super glossy look I get when I use the acrylic paints on it, because it's shiny, man, and it does kind of takes away from the picture. It happened in a couple of the other ones I did, so I was trying with the marker here at first. I did end up going back to the acrylic here, as you can see, just because it was taking forever, and that was a grind, let me tell you. But I think I got it a little better. I took my time on it anyway, and it wasn't so shiny. Anyway, I think we are coming to an end here. So if you stuck around this long and listened to me blab about Starflight, and would like to see some more projects in progress or being done or worked on, stop by again. We will be doing some more. Anyway, thanks for watching.